My old colleague framed me in court to steal my family. Now, 10 years later, my daughter listed me as her emergency contact. Turns out he's been abusing her. I'm taking everything back, starting now. You never forget the moment your life derails in front of a judge. My name is Anton Barlow. I'm 45 now, but this happened when I was 35, standing in family court in Santa Clara, California, watching my world fall apart. 10 years ago, my ex-wife Carla and I were locked in a bitter custody battle over our daughter, Mila. She was 6 back then, bright, wild-haired, full of questions. I was a senior aerospace engineer at Parallax Systems, managing a team and overseeing classified orbital projects. It was demanding work. Stressful, yes, but nothing I couldn't handle. Or so I thought. Carla had different ideas. She claimed I was unstable, too obsessed with work, paranoid even. I chalked it up to legal strategy until I saw who she brought to court. Trent Maddox. My best friend since college. The man who stood next to me at my wedding. The guy who knew every secret I had. I remember the second I saw him walking up to the witness stand, adjusting his tie like he was about to give a tech talk. My stomach dropped. Mr. Maddox, Carla's lawyer began, can you describe Mr. Barlow's behavior during the weeks leading up to the custody dispute? Trent cleared his throat and looked right at me. Anton was unraveling, he said calmly. He thought people at work were spying on him. He said his daughter wasn't safe, that satellites were being used to track her. Lies. Complete fabrications. I had voiced concerns about a breach at the lab, legitimate concerns, logged and documented, but he twisted it. Every little thing I'd ever shared in confidence, repackaged as evidence of a mental break. Then came the emails. Printed screenshots showing me ranting, accusing Carla of conspiring against me. But I'd never written them. And the audio? A distorted recording of me yelling in my garage, shouting about satellites, the government, betrayal. I knew my own voice, but I also knew how easily it could be edited. Trent worked in systems security. He had the tools, the knowledge. Do you believe your friend poses a danger to his daughter? The lawyer asked. Yes, Trent said, voice shaking just enough to seem genuine. I'm scared for her. Carla sobbed on cue. The judge looked at me like I was a stranger. I tried to speak, told them the evidence was fake. My lawyer objected, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Carla was granted sole custody. I got a restraining order and exactly 0 visitation. When it was over, I didn't go home. I went to a bar, ordered whiskey, then more whiskey, and stared at my phone until the screen blurred. Then I called him. He picked up like nothing happened. Anton, he said. Calm. Measured. You lied, I said. My voice cracked. Why? There was a pause. Then he sighed. Because she deserves better. Mila deserves better. I was frozen. What are you talking about? She needs someone stable. Carla needs someone stable. You weren't. So I stepped in. You're with her, I whispered. She was going to drown, he said. I offered her a life raft. You were the storm. I hung up before I could say anything else. I stumbled out of the bar, alone, devastated. The woman I loved and the friend I trusted had gutted me in open court and left nothing behind but a restraining order and silence. That was the day I stopped believing in loyalty. That was the day my old life ended. After the court ruling, I left everything behind. I packed what little I cared to keep into the back of my old Honda and drove south until the freeways thinned out and the ocean came into view. I landed in Morro Bay, quiet, coastal, out of the way. A place where no one knew my name or cared what had happened in that courtroom. I found a job with a federal subcontractor working satellite maintenance and diagnostics. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid well and kept me out of sight. No leadership, no meetings, no office politics. Just me, a monitor, and the sky. The first year was the hardest. There were nights I'd wake up gasping, my chest tight, soaked in sweat, hearing that damn audio looped in my head, my own voice, twisted and weaponized. I'd picture Mila's face, confused and scared, being told by Carla that her daddy wasn't safe anymore. I tried writing letters at first. I poured my heart onto paper every birthday, every Christmas. I sent drawings I kept from her preschool days, old photos, stories from when she was little. I never got a reply. After the 3rd package came back, returned to sender, I stopped using my name. I started signing everything just a friend. That way, at least, the envelopes wouldn't get tossed at the door. I kept sending them, every year. A stuffed bear on her 7th birthday. A journal with a lock and key when she turned 10. A small telescope when she hit 12. I figured if she couldn't see me, maybe she could still see the stars. Sometimes I imagined her opening the packages in secret, saving the notes, wondering who they were from. Other times I imagined Carla tossing them into the trash with a smirk, or Trent reading them aloud just to mock me. Carla called once or twice a year, never from the same number. You still trying? She'd say with a cold little laugh. She doesn't care, Anton. She doesn't even ask about you anymore. She knows what kind of man you are. I'd hang up before she finished. I tried to hold on to hope. I kept a calendar marked with her birthdays. I kept a shelf in my closet stacked with return envelopes, every one labeled in my own hand. But as the years passed, I started to let go. Not out of choice. Out of survival. Maybe she really did think I abandoned her. Maybe that's what they taught her to believe. And maybe I'd die a ghost in her memory if I existed there at all. The call came on a Thursday, just after 9 p.m. I was at home. If you could call a one-bedroom apartment with a view of a parking lot, home, eating leftover lasagna straight out of the pan when my cell rang. Unknown number, area code from my old city. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something in my gut twisted, sharp and sudden. I answered. Mr. Barlow? The voice was young, polite, and professional. This is Nurse Hayes with Westlake Memorial. I'm calling regarding your daughter, Mila Barlow. I froze. I hadn't heard her name spoken by anyone else in years. My fork clattered onto the tile floor. I'm sorry. What? She was admitted about an hour ago. Bicycle accident. She's stable, but we needed to confirm emergency contact details. She listed you. I had to sit down. What? She listed me. Yes, sir. You're her emergency contact. We weren't able to reach anyone else at first. My mind was a cyclone of confusion. My heart pounded. I'd spent 10 years shut out, blocked from everything. A restraining order, no visitation, no phone calls. And now this? Is she okay? Minor concussion, fractured wrist, some bruising. She's sleeping now. You're welcome to come, Mr. Barlow. She asked for you when she came in. I barely remember packing a bag. I threw on a jacket, grabbed the emergency folder I hadn't opened in years, and got in my car. Morro Bay to Santa Clara, 300 miles overnight. I drove like I was being chased. By the time I pulled into the hospital parking lot, it was just after 6 a.m. My back ached. My fingers were numb from gripping the wheel. The fluorescent lights of the emergency room stung my eyes. And there they were, Carla and Trent, standing at the nurse's desk, whispering. Carla's face was pale, her hair tied back too tight, as wide as they turned toward me. Trent, slick suit, jaw tense, that same smugness tucked behind fake concern, looked like he'd seen a ghost. They didn't expect me to come. And now they were cornered. I stepped through the automatic doors and took my first full breath in a decade. I'm here to see my daughter, I said. The nurse blinked, then slowly nodded. I saw Trent's expression change from surprise to panic. Good. Let him panic. The nurse led me down a hallway that smelled like antiseptic and stale coffee. She's in room 214, she said quietly, glancing behind her. She's resting now, but she asked for you by name. I wasn't sure if we should allow. Well, there was a lot of confusion at check-in. I could guess who caused it. As we approached the room, I caught sight of Carla arguing with a second nurse near the doorway. Her voice was pitched low, urgent, and manipulative. I'm her mother. He shouldn't be here. There's a legal... She listed Mr. Barlow as her emergency contact. She asked for him directly. Carla turned and saw me. Her face twisted. Unbelievable. You think this changes anything? I looked past her, toward the room. I wasn't there for a fight. Trent stood behind her, arms crossed, trying to look calm, but his mouth twitched. He looked smaller than I remembered. Less certain. I just want to see her, I said. She doesn't even know who you are, Carla hissed. The nurse opened the door. Inside, Mila lay propped up in the hospital bed, one arm wrapped in a cast, a faint bruise on her cheekbone. She looked different. Older, obviously, but something about her eyes pulled me straight back to the little girl who used to insist I carry her on my shoulders during grocery runs. She turned her head, saw me. Her mouth opened slightly. Her voice came out soft, groggy. Dad, I couldn't breathe. Hey, sweetheart, I said, stepping carefully into the room. The nurse gave a quick nod and closed the door behind me, shutting Carla and Trent out. Mila blinked slowly. It's really you? Yeah, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It's me. There was silence. Then she whispered, why didn't you come? The words hit like a punch. I tried, I said. Every birthday. Every Christmas. I sent letters, packages, drawings. I didn't stop. She swallowed. They told me you didn't want me. That you disappeared. They said you went crazy. I sat down in the chair beside her bed. They lied to you, Mila. I never left because I wanted to. I was taken from you. She reached slowly to the side of her bed and pulled something from the drawer, a small bundle of folded letters, worn and creased. I found these last year, she said, in a box in the basement, hidden under paint cans. My throat tightened. She opened one carefully, showing my old handwriting. A birthday card from when she turned 10. They said you were dangerous, she continued, voice shaking. But your letters, they didn't match what they told me. I nodded. They made sure I couldn't get to you. They used the courts. Trent lied. Your mom helped him. I couldn't fight them without hurting you more. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, Mila. I'm so sorry. She wiped at her face with her sleeve. I didn't know who to believe. But then I kept reading. And I remembered how you used to sing to me when I couldn't sleep. How you packed my lunch and drew little stars on the napkins. She looked up at me, jaw clenched. They took all that away. And when I crashed, I didn't know who else to call. I just remembered your name. So I gave it to the nurse. She reached for my hand. Her grip was soft, but certain. I don't want them in here, she whispered. Just you. I nodded. My heart felt like it might burst. I'm not going anywhere, I said. And for the first time in a decade, she believed me. The doctor entered the room mid-morning, clipboard in hand, and expression tight. I wanted to go over a few things regarding Mila's injuries, she said, stepping inside without glancing toward me. Can we talk? Mila nodded, sitting up straighter in bed. I rose and stepped aside, letting the doctor look her over. After a few basic questions, she hesitated. There are bruises, she said gently, that don't line up with the injuries from the bike accident. On her upper arms, ribs, and lower back. My pulse spiked. What are you saying? I'm saying, the doctor said carefully, some of these marks appear older, and they're not from a fall. She turned to Mila. Has anyone hurt you recently? Mila stared at her hands. I felt ice settle in my chest. The doctor glanced at me, then stepped out. I'm going to notify CPS. Someone will be by soon. I walked over and sat beside Mila again. Sweetheart, talk to me. She didn't look up. Sometimes Trent gets mad. Like really mad. How mad? She bit her lip. He yells a lot. Breaks things. And a few times, he grabbed me too hard. Pushed me when I didn't answer fast enough. Jesus. Did your mom know? She says it's just his temper. That it's not a big deal if he doesn't mean to. I closed my eyes for a second. Fury sat just beneath my skin. I didn't tell anyone before, she whispered. Because I thought, maybe it was normal. It's not, I said, voice low. None of that is okay. An hour later, a caseworker from Child Protective Services arrived. Middle-aged, calm, practiced. She interviewed Mila gently, without pushing. Then she stepped into the hallway to speak with the doctor. Carla tried to intervene, demanded that Mila be released to her immediately. She's my daughter, she hissed to the nurse. This is ridiculous. But Mila refused. When asked directly, she said it loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. I don't want to go home with them. Her voice didn't shake. She didn't cry. The CPS worker returned and told Carla that, due to inconsistencies in the injury report and Mila's request, she would be kept in observation for at least another 72 hours. Trent's face darkened. You can't just keep her here. Actually, the woman said calmly, we can. Carla sputtered. She's being manipulated. No, Mila said from behind me. I'm finally being heard. The tension shifted. The control they'd held for 10 years cracked, just a little. And in that moment, I saw what they hadn't. Mila wasn't a scared little girl anymore. She was waking up, and they were starting to lose. I checked into a low-rise hotel 5 blocks from the hospital. Nothing fancy, just clean sheets, a working lamp, and a desk with a chipped corner. I hadn't lived in the city in over a decade, but the streets still felt familiar in that strange, hollow way. Mila remained hospitalized for observation, under CPS watch. I visited every day. We played cards, shared cafeteria snacks, watched reruns on the tiny mounted TV. She was quieter now, cautious. But she smiled sometimes. It was more than I thought I'd ever get again. CPS had assigned a temporary caseworker, Ms. Ramirez, who spoke to me like I mattered. She explained the timeline, medical hold for 3 days, then a decision about emergency placement. We'll be inspecting any living arrangements, she said. If you're open to being considered, we'll need access to wherever you're staying. I nodded. Of course. That night, I stocked the hotel room with groceries, picked up fresh towels, and laid out documents, proof of employment, pay stubs, the apartment lease from Morro Bay. I was ready. Until Trent found me. He showed up in the hotel hallway just as I was returning from the vending machine. He leaned against the wall like he owned the place, that smarmy, business-casual grin stretched tight across his face. Well, he said, arms crossed. Our prodigal ghost returns. I didn't respond. I stepped past him, key card ready. You really think you're getting her back? He said, voice low. You're not. This is temporary, Anton. The court will side with us, just like last time. I turned, calm. She asked for me. She named me. He stepped forward, voice sharpening. You're unstable. You have a record. You've got nothing. I narrowed my eyes. I've got her. That shut him up, just for a second. He forced a smile. Enjoy your little moment. It won't last. I opened the door, but he wasn't finished. Oh, he added. Might want to expect a visit soon. I filed a harassment report this morning. What? He shrugged. You showed up uninvited. You've been interfering. Judges don't like that. Might make them rethink this whole placement idea. I didn't flinch. You're scared. No, he said, stepping back. I'm just cleaning up. When he left, I closed the door, locked it, and called Ms. Ramirez. An hour later, she met me in the hotel lobby. We received notice that Carla and Trent are disputing the emergency placement, she said. They're claiming you're manipulating Mila, that you're emotionally coercive and unstable. I just nodded, jaw tight. I need to be honest with you, she said. They filed for an emergency hearing. It'll be within 72 hours. I rubbed my eyes. And Mila? She stays in the hospital until then. But after that, I said, we fight. Because I wasn't losing her again. Not this time. The next morning started with a phone call I almost didn't answer. I was sitting on the hotel bed, scrolling through legal aid sites, trying to find an attorney willing to take my case on short notice. The phone buzzed, unknown number. I nearly let it go. But something told me to pick up. Hello? Mr. Barlow? A young voice, a little shaky. This is Zoe. I'm Mila's friend. From school. My heart jumped. Zoe? Is everything okay? Yeah, she said quickly. I mean, no, not really. Mila's in the hospital, right? I sat up straighter. She is. She's safe. How did you know? She texted me from the nurse's phone. Said she found your letters. That she was going to tell someone the truth. Zoe hesitated, then added, she told me to call you if anything happened. I blinked. I don't understand. I have stuff, she said. Letters Mila gave me months ago. She said if anything ever went really wrong at home, to keep them safe, that they were proof. I stood up, grabbing my shoes. Where are you? Zoe gave me her address, only 20 minutes away. I didn't waste a second. When I arrived, her mother answered the door. She looked hesitant until Zoe appeared behind her, holding a shoebox wrapped in duct tape. Her mom watched me carefully but didn't stop her. I read some of them, Zoe said. They're from you. From when Mila was little. I opened the box on their kitchen table. Letters. Photos. Drawings I hadn't seen in years. Each one folded carefully, some smudged from handling. Mila's name in big block letters. My handwriting. My voice. Date scrawled in the corners, all from before the accident. She kept these. I asked softly. Zoe nodded. She found them hidden in the basement. She didn't tell her mom. She brought them to my place one night during a sleepover. Her mother stepped in. I'll testify. So will Zoe. My husband's a paramedic. He's seen bruises. We've suspected something was wrong in that house for a while. I felt something shift in my chest, like hope was finally cracking through the surface. I thanked them both, clutching the box like it was gold. That night, I met with a lawyer referred by Ms. Ramirez, a woman named Jenna Fields. Sharp, calm, relentless. This, she said, flipping through the letters, is enough to question Carla's credibility. Combined with the CPS report, the injuries, and Zoe's testimony, we can build a case. What kind of case? She looked me dead in the eye. One that proves they've been lying for 10 years. One that shows Mila was manipulated, isolated, and endangered. I nodded slowly. I'll do whatever it takes, I said. Jenna smiled. Good. Because we're going to court. And this time, I wasn't the one on trial. 2 days later, I walked into the same courthouse that had torn my life apart a decade ago. Same cold floors. Same sterile lighting. But I wasn't the man they broke back then. Not anymore. This time, I had a lawyer by my side. Jenna Fields walked like she owned the place, shoulders back, briefcase tight in hand, face unreadable. Carla and Trent were already seated at their table when we entered. Carla was in a cream blazer, too polished for someone accused of hiding bruises. Trent sat beside her in a navy suit, tapping his pen against the table like it didn't matter. But it did. I could see it in their eyes. They weren't smug anymore. The judge, a different one than last time, called the room to order. We are here for an emergency custody hearing regarding the minor, Mila Barlow. Trent's attorney launched first. Your Honor, we are deeply concerned about Mr. Barlow's sudden reappearance in Mila's life. His prior restraining order. Jenna stood smoothly, which expired 8 years ago and was based on fabricated evidence. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. They tried everything. Claimed I was unstable. Said I was manipulating Mila. Brought up the old court ruling like it was scripture. But Jenna didn't flinch. Your Honor, she said, handing the bailiff a folder, this is a collection of letters, cards, and packages Mr. Barlow sent to his daughter over the past 10 years. All intercepted and hidden by the custodial parent. She waited a beat. Inside are also photos of bruising taken by Mila's friend, Zoe Mitchell, who was present and prepared to testify. Accompanying that is a statement from Zoe's mother and a CPS report flagging signs of physical and emotional abuse. A rustle moved through the courtroom. Carla shifted in her seat. Trent stiffened. Jenna leaned in. And finally, Mila herself has submitted a request to speak with Your Honor privately, per California Family Court guidelines. The judge nodded. Request granted. Mila entered the judge's chambers a few minutes later. She looked small, walking in shoulders tense, hand clutching the hem of her shirt, but she didn't look scared. Not anymore. I waited. 10 minutes. Then 20. When the door opened, Mila walked out calmly and returned to the gallery, sitting next to the CPS worker. The judge returned, expression neutral. He flipped through his notes. After reviewing the submitted evidence and speaking directly with the minor, he said slowly, "This court finds substantial cause to overturn the previous custody ruling on an emergency basis." Carla inhaled sharply. Trent muttered something under his breath. "The court grants temporary full custody to Mr. Anton Barlow, effective immediately. Visitation rights for Ms. Carla Weston to be determined following psychological evaluation and pending investigation." A gasp sounded from Carla, but the judge wasn't finished. As for Mr. Trent Maddox, Trent looked up. "Your behavior in the previous custody case will be referred for criminal review, including the authenticity of evidence submitted 10 years ago." That wiped the expression from his face. Jenna leaned in and whispered, "Wait for it." And right on cue, Trent stood up. "This is ridiculous," he snapped. "You're just taking her word over mine? Over everything we built? That man's unstable." The judge frowned. "Mr. Maddox, you're throwing out 10 years of custody because some teenager found a box of letters?" he raged. "Those letters weren't even supposed to." He froze. Silence. Everyone heard it. "Weren't supposed to." The judge stared at him. "Mr. Maddox, are you admitting to withholding mail addressed to the minor?" Trent sat down slowly. Didn't say another word. The judge banged the gavel. "Custody awarded to Mr. Barlow. This hearing is adjourned." I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just looked at Mila. She met my eyes across the room and nodded, quiet but certain. We were going home. Together. The first night Mila stayed with me felt almost unreal. We walked into my apartment just past dusk. It was modest, second floor, small balcony, neutral beige walls, but clean, quiet, and ours. I let her lead the way through the door while I carried her overnight bag and the shoebox of letters we hadn't let out of sight. "This is it," I said, setting the bag down. "Not much, but it's home." Mila glanced around. She didn't say anything at first. She just walked slowly, fingers trailing the edges of bookshelves, light switches, the fridge door. Then she turned to me. "Can I pick which room's mine?" I smiled. "You only have one choice. But yeah, it's yours." She headed straight for it. That night, she spread her things across the bed like she was laying claim to it. She stacked her books on the nightstand, peeled the stickers off her water bottle, and stuck them on the closet door. She asked if she could put glow stars on the ceiling like she used to when she was a kid. "Only if I get some too," I said. We stayed up late building her bookshelf from a flat-pack box, watching a cooking show we didn't care about. She picked at a microwave pizza and laughed at how bad it was. I hadn't heard her laugh like that since she was 6. It was awkward sometimes. Quiet. We didn't always know what to say, but she didn't look over her shoulder. She didn't flinch when the neighbors slammed a door. And when she finally curled up under her new comforter, she whispered, "I don't remember ever feeling this safe." That almost broke me. We found a rhythm over the next few weeks. She enrolled in the local high school. Jenna helped fast-track the paperwork. I switched to remote contract work through the same federal subcontractor. Long hours at a laptop instead of a lab. Not glamorous, but it kept me home, kept us stable. Mila made friends faster than I expected. One day I came home to find 2 girls sitting on the living room floor, comparing playlists and snacking on kettle corn. I made myself invisible, hovering just long enough to hear her laugh, without faking it. We got used to the silence in the house. No shouting, no threats, just music, quiet meals, the occasional sarcastic exchange about school lunch options. A CPS representative visited once a week for the first month. Mila never tried to hide. She answered every question, even the hard ones. When they asked if she wanted supervised visitation with her mother, she didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said, "but only if I feel ready. And only if someone else is in the room." Carla didn't argue. Supervised visits began 3 weeks later, once a week at the child welfare office. Mila was quiet afterward, but not shaken. She'd shrug and say, "She's trying too hard." Or, "I don't think she knows who I am anymore." But she never said she wanted to stop. Then one evening, she looked up from her homework and said, "I don't hate her, but I don't trust her either. Not yet." "That's fair," I said. "Take all the time you need." Meanwhile, the fallout landed hard on Trent. CPS and local prosecutors moved quickly. They found discrepancies in the original testimony, emails from burner accounts, metadata inconsistencies. He was charged with perjury, obstruction, and tampering with evidence. I didn't celebrate, but I did exhale. Carla, perhaps sensing what was coming, filed for divorce 2 weeks later. No lawyers, just paperwork. Quiet shame. She didn't fight it. And for once, neither did I. Because Mila and I had started over. And we weren't looking back. 3 months later, I stood in the gymnasium of Mila's high school, surrounded by folding chairs and rows of easels. The senior art show. I hadn't asked much about it. Mila had been working on her final project behind a closed door for weeks. When I offered help, she just smiled and said, "You'll see." I never expected this. Her exhibit was titled Found Time. On the wall behind her easel was a collage, dozens of photographs, arranged like constellations. On one side, grainy pictures from when she was little, birthday parties, me holding her up to the sky, her tiny hand wrapped around my finger. All ones I thought were lost. Next to them were photos I didn't recognize, ones she'd taken over the past few months. Us at the park, her eating cereal at the counter, me reading a book, unaware she was even holding a camera. Between each image was a letter, my letters, scanned, printed, layered into the display with transparent overlays. You could read snatches as you walked by. I miss you more than the stars miss the sun. Happy 10th birthday, kiddo. I hope this letter reaches you. If you ever find these, know that I never stopped loving you. People walked slowly past the exhibit, whispering. Some cried. I stood there, stunned. Mila stood beside me in a black turtleneck and jeans, arms folded, nervous. She glanced up at me. You okay? I cleared my throat. You made me cry in public, so, no, not really. She smiled. Good. The judge who once ruled against me officially granted permanent custody a week later. Carla didn't contest it. Mila told me she still sees her mother sometimes. Not often, she said. I think she's trying, but I'm not in a rush. As for Trent, he pled guilty to avoid trial. He's serving time. I haven't spoken his name in months. Mila told the story in her college essay. Not the whole thing, just the parts that mattered. She wrote about silence, about lies, about what it means to hold on to hope when the world insists you shouldn't. She got accepted to 3 universities. But before any of that, before she even sent the applications, she looked at me one evening and asked, Is it okay if I stay with you another year? Of course, I said. Because I'd wait a lifetime if it meant she stayed. And maybe that's the thing about time, it gets taken from us, buried, stolen. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it finds its way back. And when it does, you hold it tight. You don't let go.